Hello. It's been a while since I've been able to offer a Crocodile Feeder of the Week award, but now it is the honour of the University and College Union, I think that's what it's called, University and College Union, yes indeed, to get this distinguished accolade. So here's a first picture of it, and I'll present the award at the end of my explanation. Now, the second thing I'm going to say is that I got one of the comments under my one of my videos was that he enjoyed my videos even though he found the British politics a bit hard. I just want to make a comment about that. You see, for some reason, well, it's probably linguistic, but it might be something else as well. Britain and America mirror each other. However much the Americans like to think they're separate from Britain, you aren't. I'm sorry. And you can draw lessons from learning what's happened in Britain, just as we can draw lessons from learning what's happened with you. It puts me in mind of that epitaph. Remember, friend. It's on a grave. I mean, there are dozens of them on graves all over the world, I believe. But the one I know is, remember, friend, as you pass by, as you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so you will surely be. Something wrong with that. Prepare thyself to follow me. It's something like that anyway. Okay, so I just want you to remember that because it's important. As we are now, so you will be, and vice versa. And we can learn from each other if we take notice of that. Now, Crocodile Feeder of the Week going to UCU, University and College Union, and why? Okay, let me set the picture for you. Sussex University, that's on the south coast of Britain, it's a capable sort of place with a good ranking, but it's hardly top flight. It proudly announces that it's 20th in the university rankings, but it's picked to the post by Brighton University, which is in the same town. I don't know why. I don't even know how they work out these rankings, frankly. But let's face it, there are around 140 true universities in the UK. There are other colleges and institutes, so I'm talking about universities. Only 140 or so actual universities, which is what counts when we're talking about university rankings. And 20 out of that, well, it's not bad, but, well, no cigar, is it? However, even the 20th out of 140 might, for one reason or another, occasionally be lucky enough to have a few top flight professors. That's why I don't understand the rankings, because there are some universities that have some really splendid professors and they're quite low on the ranking because they've got awful departments here and there, but not everywhere, you see. So, but anyway, yeah, all we have to go on are the rankings. And even comparatively modest universities have some truly splendid academics in their offices, academics who really think. And in that respect, Sussex University is, or perhaps was, lucky enough to have, as I said, at least for the time being, a professor called Kathleen Stock, who's, by the looks of her photographs, I'll put one up here, as beautiful as she is thoughtful, a true beauty. Just a face that's a pleasure to look at, because it's not only nicely put together, but you can see the intelligence coming out of it as well. And in May, she published a book called Material Girls. And yeah, it had the obviously dangerous subheader. I'd advise you to be careful here. Are you ready for it? Right. The subheader is Why Reality Matters for Feminism. Ah! Reality. Oh dear, that's quite dangerous. In which she discusses and critiques the theory that an inner feeling about gender is more important than our biological sex. She's a logical woman and she comes up with the idea that perhaps that's not true. Now, just from this, you'll know that Professor Stock is a dangerous woman. Now, you may perhaps be puzzled by why it took so long for the fuss to start up about it, because the book was published in May, and as I'm making this video, it's October. Well, I think that's probably easily explained. When you're reading each word one by one out aloud and moving your lips, then it takes you a while to read it. Because that's about the intelligence level of the people who seem to have got hold of it so far. It started with stickers all over Sussex University. I'll put some images up here. All over the campus announcing that Professor Stock was transphobic, which nowadays is almost worse than calling someone a racist, and that she should be fired. Just so you know, Stock is on record as saying that personally she's more than happy to use somebody's preferred pronouns for, colleagues and students, and would consider it rude not to, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a very reasonable attitude. And of course, she is absolutely of the opinion that whatever the orientation or type, all should equally be accorded the human rights, safety, and freedom from discrimination and harassment that anyone else would be. On the other hand, she is forthrightly against the idea of compelled speech. And she's particularly concerned by the idea of biological men barging into women-only rooms, spaces and services, like public toilets and changing rooms. And I am 100% in agreement with her, so perhaps I should be fired as well, except for one thing. I'm not employed by Sussex University. This apparently is heresy. And not only heresy, but evil. I mean, she's completely evil for saying that biological men are not women. It's just one step away from the gas chambers, isn't it? Okay, there are nutcases in the world, but what I'm talking about is the betrayal from the top. You see, you've got these nutcases putting notices up, and this Stock business is something of a cause célèbre in Britain right now. So it's not like I'm giving anyone any news, but what I am going to be talking about is not so much the people who've got all fired up in objecting to Professor Stock's opinions, but to the people who should be protecting her. I've made lots of videos, more or less since I started, about various issues which I see as injustices. But now I come to think of it, most of them boil down to this one single thing. An institution or an organisation that was set up to protect a group or a class of people from persecution for their opinions. And it's the very organisation that's set up for this purpose which joins the mindless mob when the mindless mob starts to attack. And it seems to be happening more and more. And I actually don't understand it, except from this point of view. It's the person. You can set up as many organisations as you want, but it's the people who are running it who make the organisation what it is. And if the people who are running it are weak, lily-livered, moral custards, then the organisation will not do what it has been set up to do. And, there are examples. In Batley, which is a Yorkshire town, last year, a high school teacher in a religious studies class incurred the wrath of Muslims who reckoned he'd not treated Muhammad seriously enough. And while they mobbed the school and threatened him and his family, the principal, the head of the school, just grovelled, and the union silent. Oh, a few nice words, nothing much. And the same thing, and you can go back a while, the same thing happened in a place in America called Covington, I don't know. It was in 2019 when a group of their own students were harassed and threatened by a bunch of people with a political agenda and probably a racial agenda as well, and were condemned as the perpetrators by their own school principal before there was any evidence of what had happened, even by the Archbishop, what's his name, Joseph Kurtz, of the Catholic Conference of Kentucky, and their bishop, again, name, Roger Foys. They deserve to be named because they just leapt to judgment, and they could have destroyed those kids, except it just so happened somebody was videoing it. At this point, I have to repeat, the academics who were silent when the Covington kids were being persecuted by what amounted to a mob of peasants with pitchforks are now themselves in the firing line. Because it doesn't just happen to one person. It starts with one small group that you see as a bit of an out group. So, here, white kids with MAGA hats. But then it never stops there. They may have thought it was just an isolated incident, but these things never are. There is a mob violence mentality taking over all of Western civilization, and none of us is safe. And now back to Sussex, with the very union which should be defending Professor Stock, the local UCU, University and College Union, issuing a statement when all this wokery started to bubble up. And this is what their statement is. The university's leaders have not upheld the institution's stated values by ensuring that the dignity and respect of trans and non-binary staff and students and their allies are enshrined at the core of the university's centre. I mean, it makes hardly any sense, but you can hear the wokery words there, can't you? It's straight out of the woke dictionary. And then the UCU National, that was the local branch, and the UCU National Executive pitched in with this. UCU is a proud and unequivocal supporter of trans rights and echoes the calls from UCU Sussex branch for the university to match its strong stance on academic freedom. Oh, I'm going to repeat this. The university to match its strong stance on academic freedom with an equally strong stance on trans inclusion. I venture to suggest that we are here in a situation of an immovable object and an irresistible force, aren't we? Because you can't be kind to everybody at the same time. And as a matter of fact, trans rights, the way they're putting it, is not even being kind. It's total submission to the rantings of a lunatic fringe. I'm not talking about proper trans women, by the way. I'm talking about these people. These aren't proper women. These are not proper women. They are men in skirts, and they are not sane. by the looks of things either. And the university is caving to them. And it's a disgrace. With all due respect, UCU, or rather without any respect at all, because you're a bunch of weasel-mouthed hypocrites, it seems to me that a strong stance on academic freedom and trans inclusion are two mutually exclusive ideas right now, and perhaps forever, the way those guys have set it up. And so, I am going to award you Crocodile Feeder of the Week, and boy, oh boy, do you richly deserve it. Oh, hang on, just a minute. I meant to explain, and then I forgot. I just want to point out that when I say crocodile feeder, I am referring to the Winston Churchill saying that an appeaser is somebody who feeds the crocodile in the hope of being eaten last. Now, I want to tell you something, UCU. The crocodile will get round to you in the end anyway. You can appease all you like. It might eat Kathleen's stock first, but it'll get to you in the end. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.